So that laptop, Hunter Biden, he lost it. He gave it up. And it detailed his sordid life and potential corruption of his father. Came to light in October of 2020, and we had a right to know about it. But big tech kept it offline. And it looks like the Biden team, the FBI, the entire swamp may have had a big role in keeping this out of the voters' hands. There's an amazing lawsuit that's been in the works for some time now. The state of Missouri and the state of Louisiana versus essentially the Biden administration. And they're making progress. The Biden administration may have infringed on our First Amendment rights. I'd like to bring in the Attorney General for the state of Louisiana, Jeff Landry. Sir, welcome back to Newsmax. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me.
And congratulations on launching this thing and keeping it going. I've read a couple of the depositions. Fascinating stuff. Do me a favor, though. Give us the lay of the land and where do things stand right now in your lawsuit against Joe Biden?
Well, look, let's take a step back. This case was brought by us to determine whether or not the federal government engaged in conduct that suppressed Americans' speech as those Americans debated policies that were affecting them. Greg, that's an important point because this is all about the First Amendment. I've said time and time again that this is the most important First Amendment case this century. Because if the government can go in and suppress American speech, basically pressure big tech to take down, to throttle back, to kick off Americans who are discussing the policies that affect them, that the government put in place, then we really don't have a democracy.
I'd like to refer you, Counselor, to Elvis Chan, an FBI agent out of the San Francisco office who was working closely with big tech. I believe we have his picture. He was essentially embedded with big tech, the liaison between the FBI, the intelligence community, and big tech. And he had this to say about the 2020 election. Let's go ahead and roll that, please.
FBI Special Agent Elvis Chan says the agency is always looking at what has happened in the past and applying it to the future. He says a lengthy review has determined that the 2020 election was the most secure in the nation's history.
Like for 2020, we knew specifically the incidents that happened on a county by county level because there were so few of them. I could count them on one hand.
Special Agent Chan says federal agencies have their eye on misinformation and election lies that often spread through social media. He says federal law enforcement agencies are sharing data with those social media platforms with the aim of combating election misinformation with the truth.
People are trying to dispel the disinformation and misinformation that is going on, that there are things that are happening to the election. We don't see any credible threats at this point. That's not to say we're not monitoring them, because we are.
So that's Elvis Chan. He works for the FBI. You guys deposed him. And it's a fascinating deposition, but those comments right there, that seems so wildly far afield from anything the FBI should be concerned with.
Correct. Look, I think that of all the people we've deposed, and we've deposed some very interesting people like Dr. Fauci, I think that the Elvis Chan deposition gave us the greatest insight to the conduct that the Federal Bureau of Investigation was engaged in censoring American speech. Again, Greg, this is about information that the American public should be able to debate in the marketplace of ideas, in the public squares, in the virtual public squares of big tech, without the government telling big tech what they can post, what they can't post, who should be banned, who should be shadow banned, or who should be taken off. And by the way, the evidence that we've uncovered in Discovery shows that it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. If you don't agree with the government, you will be censored. You will be silenced. We found that even Robert Kennedy was basically the White House, the Biden administration, pressured Twitter to take Robert Kennedy off of Twitter because of some of the things that he was expressing during the pandemic.
And that was the kind of relationship the FBI had with Twitter. Hey, we don't like these accounts. Take a look at them. We think they might be violating your terms of service, i.e., we want him taken down, and often Twitter would comply. By the way, Elvis Chan, who said everything was fine with the 2020 election, take a look at this from the deposition. It comes out that he is friends, this FBI agent, with Peter Strzok, worked with him extensively. And not only Peter Strzok, he worked with and still works with Lisa Page. And this is, and of course, these two, remember, they're the ones who said, no, Trump won't win it, won't win, we'll fix it, we won't let it happen. Was that a major aha moment? I think it's circumstantial, whatever you could say. But man, that's pretty interesting.
Well, I think there's further in that deposition where you see Elvis Chan talk about a gentleman by the name of James Baker. That's an interesting character. So James Baker was the deputy consul at the FBI who was run out of the FBI because he was leaking information out of the Bureau. Guess where he ends up? He ends up at Twitter, where Elvis Chan works with James Baker on censoring Americans. In addition, James Baker is also the guy who refused to follow Elon Musk's instructions when Musk took over Twitter and then wanted all of the information given out to the public. Baker was in there censoring or basically redacting that information. We find that out in this deposition that this Baker guy still worked for Twitter. Yeah. He no longer works there because Musk fired him. Right. Had it not been for our case, he would still be working at Twitter.
A former FBI lawyer is sitting around Twitter saying we should take President Trump's tweet off that says you shouldn't be afraid of COVID. He actually says that in an email. He should not be saying that. Some FBI drones saying it's crazy stuff. You guys, you're on to some fantastic findings here. Good luck. When's the next step? What happens next?
Oh, well, look, just stay tuned because we're pouring through the discovery as we speak, as this interview is conducted. And as we get information, we're posting that information out there so that the most important thing is that the American people can see the transparency, can see the conduct that the government engaged in to censor their speech.
Louisiana and Missouri versus Joe Biden. I would definitely bet on Louisiana and Missouri. We appreciate it very much, sir. Many thanks, and we'll be right back.